In this video, I'm going to highlight the differences between a high bar and low bar back squat and which variation to use depending on your training goals and body mechanics. If you're interested in learning the basics of a barbell back squat, I recommend watching my previous video. So a high bar back squat is going to be the most intuitive to use and has the least mobility requirements compared to a low bar back squat. Additionally, the high bar back squat uses your quads and your glutes as the primary movers. So positioning wise, the barbell is going to rest on your traps, your torso is going to be slightly leaned forward, and your bar is going to be over your center of gravity, which is in your midfoot. Now, your hands are going to be placed about outside of shoulder width apart, depending on preferences as well. So this translates a lot better for Olympic weightlifters and beginners. Because Olympic weightlifters, it mimics more of that movement pattern of a clean or a snatch in that torso positioning. Now, for a beginner, there's much less of a learning curve for a high bar back squat, which makes it a lot easier to use. Now, if you do tend to have knee pain, a high bar back squat is going to irritate that knee pain much more than a low bar back squat because of those differences in positioning and because that loading changes when you do a low bar back squat. So a low bar back squat is going to place that bar about 2 to 3 inches a bit lower on your back and is going to force your torso to be slightly angled a little further forward to compensate for that lower bar positioning. What that means as well positioning wise is that the low bar back squat is going to be lower on your back. Your hands are typically going to be a little farther apart, so outside of shoulder width apart, and to avoid wrist and elbow pain, you typically want to false grip the bar, so thumbs on the outside. What this translates better to is for power lifters and those that have a strong posterior chain, so your hamstrings, your erectors, it is a lot better to use a low bar back squat because you're more effective at recruiting those muscles when you place that bar a little lower and bend your torso farther forward. So power lifters, and if you have the mobility to do so, it's a good squat variation. However, on the flip side, if you don't have the mobility for a low bar back squat in your shoulders, your elbows, and your wrists, then it can cause quite a bit of discomfort because you can't get the positioning correct. So a low bar back squat has a much bigger learning curve relative to a high bar back squat. So which squat variation should you use? Well, that entirely depends on your training goals and body mechanics. If you're a beginner or Olympic weightlifter, a high bar back squat is going to be better suited to you and your mechanics and your training goals. If you're a power lifter or have a very strong posterior chain, on the other hand, a low bar back squat might be better suited to your goals and might be better suited to your body mechanics as well.